Hunter.
Hi, everyone, for just joining. We're going to give it a few seconds for people to start coming in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for being with us today. There's Bobby on the call. Hey, Bobby. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for everyone who's joining us today. My name is Ben Noor. I'm the sponsor development manager for the Texas Restaurant Association. And today we're going to be talking about clearing the air on Cloud POS with Heartland, which is one of our preferred partners for the association. I'd first like to introduce Jeremy Paget and Matthew Turner, who will be presenting today. Jeremy Paget is currently the dealer business development manager at Heartland and has been with the company for the last 3.5 years. He has worked in the point of sale and payment processing space for over 15 years with the focus on hospitality while working directly with numerous point of sale reseller channels throughout. And Matthew Turner is a sales engineer for Heartland Restaurant based out of Heartland Service Center in Jefferson, Indiana, and has been with the company for over 6 years, helping restaurant end users as well as POS resellers with technical expertise and helping find the right solution. So without further ado, I'll pass it along over to Jeremy and Matthew, and we'll get started.
Thanks, Ben, for the introduction. Hello, everyone, and appreciate you joining today. I know you have busy days, so hope to add some value with it. And so today we'll kick it off. Today we're going to be talking about cloud point of sale for the restaurant space. I think the reason I chose this is, as more and more owners have moved to the cloud point of sale or thinking about making a move to cloud point of sale. And it's key to note that there's a difference between cloud point of sale, traditional point of sale or server-based point of sale systems, and really a great point of sale in general. We hear a lot in terms in the industry, get asked tons of questions, and that's why I think I titled this presentation "Clearing the Air on Cloud POS," and that's hopefully what we're going to do today. So kicking off in, what does cloud POS excellence mean? As we know, all products and experience with those products are not created equally. It's important to understand that a POS solution isn't excellent just because some form of marketing or a salesperson is telling you as such. The real question boils down to, or a couple, is how does a cloud point of sale excel over another, or any point of sale system in general, and how does it ultimately benefits you as the operator? You may know Heartland services a ton of restaurant customers across point of sale, payment processing, and payroll services. I think one of the largest parts of our portfolio is actually restaurants, and a lot of those operators, as well as some of our credit card and payroll customers, use traditional point of sale or what's called the client server-based systems, where there's a local piece of software that resides on the restaurant property within a hardware solution. This type of environment usually has companies like NCR, manufacturers of the Aloha point of sale, and Micros, Oracle, have typically provided those type of solutions. A lot of also restaurants run on various cloud point of sale in general that might have been brand new or been in the market for a few years. Some of the questions that we see across all of them is POS just POS, or aren't they all the same? What do people mean by a good POS or even an excellent POS, hopefully? What do people mean when they say cloud POS, or what is that? And what are really kind of the advantages and disadvantages of each? And we're going to start to debate those up throughout the course of the presentation today. So let's start with what POS looks like in general. Both the traditional point of sale, or again, where there's local software that's loaded on the restaurant property, and cloud POS. These are a couple different flavors of what you're going to see in a restaurant environment today as far as point of sale. It may be a tablet-looking device, or a larger form factor, bulkier kind of touchscreen terminal that Both run the POS software, but have varying degrees of features and vary greatly as well in how the software is paid for, how upgrades occur, how new features are added, and then even how it's the system and solutions even supported by the manufacturer or maybe a reseller of that solution. And that's what this presentation is really about, kind of the fallacy of getting, potentially led down that path that just because a point of sale system is on an Android or an Apple tablet or a larger Windows terminal, it may not really address you as the restaurant's need from a functionality perspective, or how that application is going to help, run your business in general. And we see lots of restaurateurs go down the wrong path when looking at cloud POS and not looking behind what the shell kind of is, and understanding that there are a lot of advantages of cloud point of sale, but not all cloud point of sale are created equal. And that's really one of the key points of the presentation today, because it's the software application and the fact that it's in the cloud. Just that means that instead of the software running on the property on a local server or piece of a computer in the restaurant, it's on a much larger network of computers that might be owned by Amazon or Microsoft, commonly referred to as a server farm, in different geographic locations, and then professionally managed by those kind of companies. And that's why we call it the cloud, because it's not physically there as far as the server capabilities. And the fact that it's cloud immediately has some advantages in the sense that you don't have this bulky hardware that's in your restaurant that you have to maintain and upgrade, along with the point of sale application and the operating system. And this model, and many of you may be aware, very familiar. Anytime there's an operating system update, for example, like Microsoft Windows, where the security updates or patches or just upgrades in general, that usually might require a professional to come out there and do those services, pay for the OS in general, or you might choose to do it on your own, and that could also cause problems and break things down the road. So that's what we typically mean by it's in the cloud, that it gives you some of the advantages because you can physically connect devices over the internet versus connecting those devices to a physical computer within the restaurant. And that's when where some of the magic happens, when there's updates and upgrades and fixes. They're done for you automatically in the cloud without the extra time and hassle or additional costs. So you don't have a disruption when it's done. And you also have less hardware to maintain and worry about as well. Typically, as you can kind of see, or maybe even know today, the hardware is slimmer, sleeker, more aesthetically pleasing, that can save space in your restaurant, and just looks has a more of a sexier eye appeal in your restaurant as well. Okay, we've kind of discussed what was actually on the outside or the hardware parts, and now switching into gears to kind of more of the operating system and what the point of sale application actually runs on. And in general, both traditional on-premise systems and cloud point of sales. The restaurant sees the actual POS software running on these different fields, and I want to dive into it because too many times we hear why do restaurants go with this particular point of sale, and a lot of times we do hear because it's cloud, and they might know the reasons of or some of the advantage of that, or much generally have good experiences with other cloud-based solutions like Google and being able to access different spreadsheets or Word documents, or even Google Drive for picture file sharing. So everyone's familiar with it and understands that's where technology is going. So one of the first real differences of cloud point of sale is the operating system that it's in. If you're still running a Windows in a larger terminal, that's typically not going to be a 100% cloud-based system. So a lot of systems, conversely, on the the server-based or legacy systems have a primary server in your location, and the software runs there, and then maybe the data might go to somewhere else. But some of these solutions will give you reporting tools that are in the cloud, but not all the advantages that might be in the cloud. As far as cloud point of sale in generally, typically, like we said, it's going to be, on an Apple or an Android tablet. And the app is actually running in the cloud in 100% cloud-based solution. So like I mentioned before, if you're going to change technology, the one thing you don't want to do is give up features or functionality that you have today with your existing system. And then you want to, potentially move that over to something that doesn't have there. So, with, Apple hardware and a lot of things, we have a lot of our, young children and kids run around with tablets and in enclosures that, drop and play with them, might chew on the corner, and are typically pretty ruggedized and last and are able to, throughout the course of the day. With Android, there are some handboard platforms that might be tougher than others, but with the concept of Android is that the Android operating system can, work across any Android-based hardware. It just might not be obviously developed by that particular manufacturer. And not all manufacturers are going to give you the same quality and reliability. It's hard to know because people aren't going to tell you that, or will tell you that it's made for the restaurant industry, and maybe it's not. And unfortunately, you might not be able to find out until you actually have it. So these are some of the things to think about when you start looking at cloud point of sale. And what I always like to ask customers, if they had a physical demo of the product. So many of these cloud systems are sold, over the internet or, through viral marketing. And, it comes down to, really how is the software application and the overall solution, including the hardware, going to help your business. I've listed a few features here because I've looked through dozens of other cloud POS systems, and quite a few of them, offer or have these things on, on their website. Excuse me. There's a major difference, as you all know, in between, having a feature and a feature actually working for what you need it to do at your restaurant. As mentioned moments ago, one of the things is, have you had a physical demonstration, but then most importantly of each of the things that the company is telling you, and how that's going to work and how that's going to impact, your overall bottom line and your operations. This way you're in total control, is you don't want to take all the time and expense to put this in your restaurant, not have it, work as expected, and potentially, scare away your customers or even your employees. And, those are the assets that are the hardest to come by. And, so before you put your restaurant, potentially in that, should make sure that, you get an in-person evaluation of the solution. Another part of the demonstration is, what kind of demo have you had? I'm an advocate of having a local reseller who is really a restaurant technology consultant for your business. It's much like buying a car from a dealership. It gives you someone to look in the eye that, will be, on the hook to not only, sell you the car, but service it ongoing, and has their business inside, your community. POS dealerships work that same way. And at the end of the day, they're your own personal trusted advisor that's, super important. That can, help your restaurant ongoing with the latest technology. So that way you're not buying from someone that might have an office in Boston or halfway across the US that can't help you out on a busy Saturday night if, potential critical issues do arise. And it's definitely advantageous to buy from, dealerships of the technology who are experts in that product, because truly, in today's market, they can help you, navigate the ongoing challenges in businesses and change that we impact, and get ahead of them with technology. And that's where they're going to come in and really start to find out more about your business versus just kind of making assumptions. And they're going to tell you, and show you how everything is going to work, how they're going to solve your problems, what they heard from you as your actual needs, what that means for the business and your business, and really matching the right product with them, and obviously having the aptitude to helping you get there. So, local trusted advisor. Hopefully, some of you have heard of this term before, but having a local trusted advisor who can actually, tour your restaurant, talk to you, see what you've been using, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and making sure the different features that things you like at your restaurant don't change, is vitally important. I often hear restaurants say a lot of times that they kept the system way too long because it's the devil they know, and they understand that there's a lot out there that probably could help them out, but they just unfortunately don't apply it and use it. And usually that's kind of fear of the disruption of potentially the service experience within the establishment, and people continue to use a system and really just at the end of the day being content with it. And one of the things about the nicer things about a trusted advisor relationship is they're always going to be able to set up the system side by side, so you can see the differences in how it's going to work, kind of in a live environment, before officially go across and enable it on a certain night. Other companies that potentially just ship you point of sale in a box, expect you to install that and essentially wish you good luck. So you'll have a much better and different experience with a local provider. They're going to be able to tweak the system to exactly the little nuances that potentially you and your staff are used to doing, and what your customers expect at the end of the day too. And as we all know, the restaurant business isn't easy, and it's always changing, all the time. You have to keep morphing and evolving your restaurant to hit it out of the park continuously, or find something really unique that guests enjoy while adapting to consumer changes that happen in the market. So it's important to have a system that can adjust as you want to adjust to your business, but even more important to have a local trusted advisor that can work with you and help understand even when it's time to make a change, because that's what the competition and really what the industry is going. So one of the first things to kind of look into and with cloud point of sale in general is definitely what kind of contract terms are you looking at, and play close attention when reviewing cloud-based point of sale. One of the things that comes along with cloud that is advantage or could be potentially viewed as a disadvantage, is that cloud is a rented system usually. So in other words, you never own the software. You may own the iPad or the Android tablet or the equipment, but the software application as well as the service is rented month to month. This provides a $0 upfront software cost, and access to all the features and the latest ongoings with that solution on a monthly basis as they're released. But you have to look at the contract, because a lot of times you're made to think that, oh, this is great, no upfront cost or cheap hardware, but that might not be the whole pictures. Some companies are giving away hardware just to get your business on an ongoing monthly basis. But some of the questions that you should be asking is how long is the contract? Are you stuck in that contract? And what are the early termination fees, or what's commonly kind of referred to as ETFs? And what that means, when you sign a contract with the cloud point of sale, is that it's typically a 3-year contract. And if you want to leave before the contract is over, there'll be a kind of a penalty to do so. Liquidated damages are sometimes part of early termination fees. And what those really are is that, once you sign that, is the expectation is that then the customer, if you break the term early, you're expected to pay the company that you're leaving the revenue that they had forecasted for, the rest of the term. So say if you're in a 36-month agreement and leave in month 12, they would expect you to pay for 24 months of the money that they expect to make off your business. So definitely something to look into reviewing contracts if those terms are in there. But some companies make it very easy on the other side. The penalties might be, no penalty at all to leave, to maybe a 1 or 2 month potential fee on the software. If hardware is in the equation, there might be some fees involved with that, or maybe if you return them, they can, help you out. But make sure you understand the calculation and have the representative, point that out to you. And obviously on the other end, some are very difficult to get out of. There's a lot of stories on the internet that you can definitely seek out and find, when reviewing and looking at companies to see what kind of experiences they had, maybe if they potentially tried to leave. Oops. The second thing to kind of think about with contracts and kind of the buyer beware part of it is credit card dependency. Probably a little bit strange to hear this, as Heartland is a credit card processor, but looking at this point is very important. And why it's important if you're buying a point of sale system from a company that's also is a credit card company, and making sure that the two aren't tied together. In other words, can you leave one without the other and be stuck? You could decide that you want to get out, and all of a sudden you can't process credit cards or even access your point of sale. So maybe if those are tied together. So it's important when looking at credit card dependency and signing these contracts to make sure they're independent from one another. So that way you always have a choice in selecting vendors and different types of vendors. They're always going to serve your best, your business the best, and give you an ongoing choice and option. Internet dependency also extremely critical when it comes down to this. So remember that all cloud point of sale systems, one of the advantages is that the server is on the server bank, or on the cloud, so to speak. But then that means you have to ask the question, what happens if the internet goes down? And I put this, this slide out there to call that, some of the better cloud-based systems out there have what's called, backup redundancy, which means if the internet goes down, they can kind of still run transactions and run your businesses. Some companies will offer, and this is a great option, cellular backup. So you never miss anything. Everything's always constant and on for a small minimal fee. Because obviously with infrastructure, the positives outweigh the negatives. You don't want to wait until it's Friday night and you lose the internet, and you're then stuck in a 3-year contract to find out what some of these dependencies are on the internet, as well as credit card processing. So a good thing to ask when you're looking ahead of time. So what needs do you have? The purchase decision comes down to once you looked at a few high level things. Is it truly a cloud-based system? What is the hardware? What is the contract? Who's going to sell it to you? Who's going to install it to you? Who's going to train you? The next thing to look at your business and see what needs you have when you're making such a big decision like this on point of sale, and you're taking the opportunity to modernize your environment. You should really start by asking yourself, what are you trying to accomplish by changing your system? And if you don't know, it's probably a good thing to wait, because the last thing you want to know is someone to convince you or tell you, what your opportunities are to improve. And then realize that might be some of the things that really matter to you as much as you thought, or even important to, how you run and operate your particular business. These are a lot of the buzzwords that are tossed around with point of sale, and all the different types of solutions out there. They're basically solution based and built to improve a particular piece of your business. One of the best questions to ask around features and solution is kind of what's included in the POS versus what's third party. In-house developed features typically come at zero cost and are built in and can be enabled very easily. So things like online ordering, being able to order from your phone or from your computer for various things, having it delivered by one of the major, delivery platforms that's became, part of our lives since the pandemic, such as DoorDash and Uber Eats. Self-ordering capability through a kiosk, or being able to even do that through your phone while in the restaurant environment. Kitchen display systems, guest display systems, kitchen video, even consumer applications can all help you do a lot of things. But I would challenge to ask yourself when they're thrown around, how are these things going to help your restaurant? Or are they going to help put more dollars into your bank account? Most importantly, how are they going to help you take care of your customers better? So it's really really important to help think about these things when all these features are presented to you. So I put up this graphic card as an example type of graph that a lot of web-based POS sales organizations, could use to help figure out what you need. And they will look at your business and literally the starting point is to kind of, put you into a box. And this approach starts solutioning, your business before even talking to you, as an owner, and understanding, what you're trying to do and what's important to you in your business. It doesn't necessarily do the same thing as a trusted advisor coming into your restaurant, really caring how you do things, and then customizing a solution around that. The pandemic really changed, obviously, how restaurants operate and now utilize a lot of different features that aren't just about serving a particular restaurant segment, but thinking about how can we all serve our customers better in general. So, having a chart that sometimes identifies you in a few minutes on who you are and what you probably need is obviously not kind of the best route to go. So you can do so much better for yourself, again, with a trusted advisor who's going to look at very in-depthly of what your actual needs are. Say you want to boost revenue, here are some things, and let me, physically show you and let me explain how these are going to help you. And then they're going to be ones that are going to help put it together for you, and the ones that you're going to call. And if things aren't clear or haven't, materialized in the way that that you thought so, there's someone that you can still call and help fix, and it just isn't another 24/7 help fix and you going into the masses. So the beauty of it is that not only are they in the consultative row, but they're there to get their hands dirty and then supporting your business for the long term. And why we really call them a trusted advisor. And they're going to be the ones that are held responsible and accountable until they get it right. And really the magic of a reseller is like they help you focus on what you do best, which is running and being a restaurant, and not being a technologist or a computer repair person that I'm sure some of you all have worn that hat and don't want to all the time. So reporting options, when you're looking at a point of sale system, you really have to look at more than just what it does, but what does it mean to you? I've named a lot of different components that are usually related to point of sale, but one thing it definitely is restaurant automation system. And any automation system should give you analytics and analysis of your business and how you're doing and how you're trending, and give you in the data in a format that can make it actionable so you can do things in your business in real time. And there's a difference in between leading and lagging indicators. And, you want a system that's giving you leading indicators and trends that you can take action on to improve your operations. And, one of the advantages of cloud is that you get that reporting in real time. You can get it from anywhere in the world as long as you can pop open a device with an internet connection. You're there and you get the latest stats and statistics to see how your business is doing and make decisions in the moment. And the idea is that you don't have to wait until the end of the month, the end of the week, or even the end of the day to see, your accounts report and how much you spent and what your sales are or labor. A good system, and especially a cloud system, is going to give you that data constantly, so you can, so you can actually stay ahead of your business instead of just reporting on it. Uh, so starting to kind of turn the corner on the presentation here. Thanks for bearing with me. But I want to come back to where I started, and which is, the questions are all POS or cloud POS created equal? And hopefully the answer that you started to see or understand is no. There's a lot of things that, taking into consideration that to think about. Local support is obviously something that we've harped on in here. Has that business been in the community for a for a long standing time, or are you dealing with a third party? Do they know or understand what your goals are? Is the credit cards, locked down? Or are you tied to the POS because of your choice in credit cards? What operating system and related hardware are you really looking at? Is it going to be Apple or Android? What are the features and add-ons that you really just must have that you have today that are working really well for you? And what are some of the things you want to get rid of in your business? Looking at the overall cost of built-in features versus add-ons. You might already be paying $200 a month for, say, the POS system, but then it's another $100 for online ordering and another $100 for inventory control, and then another $100 for some sort of reporting. So it all adds up, and you want to be sure you're asking these questions up front and know 100% what the true costs actually are, and make sure that you're buying it from someone that you trust, and they're going to put it in the way that the way that you want it to be. Um, you also want to make sure that whatever kind of system that you end up purchasing, that it is secure and PCI compliant, and giving some of the latest encryption methods to help take the risk out of you in running your business and accepting credit cards. Here's a few lists of some of the common pitfalls that we've, came to see that, a lot of people will make, or unfortunately not understand until it's too late. So being tied to a certain credit card processor is definitely important. But most importantly, knowing what the early termination fees look like, and, kind of buyer beware on companies offering you very low rates at the beginning, and then moving those prices up throughout the contract term that you don't have any control over. And you want to look at those contracts to make sure if they're offering, free hardware or substantial discounts, what else comes with that, or what does that entail? Again, hit on local reseller, internet dependency, very important concern with the cloud, but a lot of that can be mitigated with cellular backup and good infrastructure. And then finally, what kind of control do you have over the system, as a whole, in terms of potentially shutting off your credit card processing or your point of sale application in general? So this is what we're, want to try to, obviously with the advice of these slides today and then ongoing, what the cost is of making a mistake. And it can be very expensive. If you're not reading your contract, some providers that are coming in with, low entry offers, then on the other side of things, it could be hitting you with, other, fee areas, or up to 14 cents on a transaction that, can really add up. And, the old adage of, there's no such thing as a free lunch, still holds true. And beware that, there's a lot of companies out there that, provide good solutions, but, some are out there just obviously to get your business, and they're all in there to make a profit. So if you're, looking at another point of sale company, and maybe the pricing is transparent, and they're, potentially saving you tens of thousands of dollars, over a number of years, be careful that they're not actually increasing your fees through other areas that you didn't think of, and actually making your operating cost increase when you're just not seeing the value that's there. So you want to always be sure that who's ever providing you the solution is providing it to you transparently, in a way that you can understand, because there's a lot of great solutions out there, and you definitely don't have to settle. And I think at the end of the day, you should find an outstanding point of sale system that gives you a fair, transparent pricing, and that you can relatively easily get out of. And kind of finally, is looking and evaluating, POS or cloud POS in general before going to Q&A. Reviews are one of the best ways that you can look at, how good a company is doing, how they're treating their customers, how is their technology. In this day and age, obviously moving into the app world where you can easily see reviews of everything, it makes it pretty easy. So please, spend that time and look in those, but also be aware that, some of these customers can also pay people to put posts on there, and potentially they get certain prizes for referring that out there. So be wary of that they could be getting a finder's fee, and you just have to be careful on, who's offering the advice, and look at all the critical comments with a very careful eye. And it's a good idea for some of these things. And I would encourage you never just to lump, or to jump in because someone had a good review, or a salesperson over the phone dropped some cool buzzwords, or you saw some clever advertising, because that's in essence what we're trying to clear the air about today. And help and enable restaurants to do the research, and understand that all POS isn't just POS. And there's some POS that's really going to help you with your business, and make you successful and help grow your business. But on the other side, there are those that are really looking for that for themselves. So be careful as you look out there and research. All right, and with that, we'll get to our Q&A. So I think we'll start to open up some questions here, but also wanted to say, myself, as well as some of our local Texas dealers, in the various cities across Texas, will be at the TRA at booth 1302. So happy to answer any questions in person. So I'll turn it over to Ben and team.
Jeremy, thank you for that. We all know there's a lot of decisions when it comes to your POS system. So hopefully this clears the air on those cloud-based POS systems out there. Jeremy, one of the questions that was sent directly to us was, do you all provide services to switch a current system to Heartland POS?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really what we do. So depending on where you're physically located, we have resellers in various cities all across the US. So depending on proximity, we can get you that connected. So if you want to just shoot me their information offline, I'm happy to engage with them directly.
Are there any other questions before we conclude today's webinar? Well, I'll give you guys some time back in your day. I do want to remind everybody, if you want to share this with your colleagues who missed the webinar, that we'll be posting it on our YouTube channel, as well as our newsletter that will go out. But we do want to thank everyone for attending today, especially to Jeremy and Matthew. We appreciate everyone's time, and we'll let you have some time back in your day. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you all.